6番目はヨーロッパ大陸スイス代表ダルマチャルヤ・マルセル・ガイサー大僧正芸家でございます。
The sixth speaker is Most Venerable Dharmacharya Marcel Geisser from Switzerland of the European continent. Your most venerable, please.
Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, followers of the way, you had a lot of words to digest this day, this afternoon. I'm very sorry about that. So one excuse is that the Buddha himself was talking for 45 years, so we have a good excuse. But I think theoretically, things are not that difficult. Things are very clear. Buddha was just talking Dhamma. He was just talking about life. And we all know what life is. It's impermanent. It's change. It's a flux. And this theoretically is very easy. We are talking about the dukkha and not the possibility that things are fulfilling forever. It's theoretically very easy. The non-self, which we heard from Venerable Kyusei in Jinju this afternoon about the oneness of life, there's nothing behind. And it's theoretically, for somebody who's a little intelligent, it's quite easy. So I think on a theoretical level, we don't have to talk that much. But if it comes down to practice, for me at least, it's going to be very, very difficult. Because then it comes to the point, where I can measure the inside, I can measure the amount, whether I understood something of Buddha's teaching or not. It's in the practical life. So when I was asked by the Nembutsu sect to say something about the contribution of Buddhism to the problems of the world of today, I was thinking of what could Buddhism really give and what does Buddhism give to myself. And one very important thing is it gives also the possibility of silence. So I would love to have a moment of silence after that many words. Would you help me right now to have this moment of silence and just to breathe and be here and feel the community we form, the community of the international community in the middle of Japan with all these Japanese people? Just a moment, breathing, feeling our presence here, and a little reflection of what made it possible for us to come here. The immense work of the whole community of Nembutsu. Mostly we give all the thanks to one person. And of course, he is an incredible, inspiring person who gives this vision to form this place, to bring us together. But without all the people in the background, nothing could be accomplished. Nothing could be happened. So I think it is that what means the realization of oneness kind of as a Sangha. And I'm here now the 5th time. I had 3 summits now and 2 private possibilities to be here. And looking back, what was the topic I'm talking of in the last 2 summits? In the summit in Bangkok, I was talking about the oneness of Sangha and the role of women in Buddhism. So don't be afraid, I'm not going to talk about that again. You can relax. But it's not over. We have to keep going that way. Because it's so easy, to tell on one side of the equality of life, equality of human beings, but it comes down to practical things. It's always the women who are very much behind. So I think this is a topic which is not easy solved. On the last summit, I was talking about spiritual materialism. Because on one hand, I can see the immense beauty of places like this. And it was always involved with a great amount of financial support towards the artists to bring forth such great completion. What we can see here, it was very often the royals who did that. And it's not for nothing we call it the Royal Buddhist Grand Hall. It's a wonderful high level of completion of human possibilities. But it easily goes to another side that we think only in outside terms. We always see the accomplishment of man in the outside development. And this is just, when we do it too much, it's just materialism. Buddha was living a simple life, and many of the bhikkhus, I believe, they live a simple life back home. So we should not forget that the highest development, the siddhi, the highest potentiality of mankind is the purification of mind and finding peace and realizing nibbana. So that's another topic which is theoretically very, very easy, very clear, but practically very hard to fulfill. So when we were asked, the keynote speakers, to say something about the contribution of Buddhism in the world today, I think what I experience is very often that Buddhism has a kind of a wonderful, let's say, like a bonus. We, in the West, and I think it's in the East the same, Buddhism is called the religion of peace, of tolerance, of wisdom, of compassion. Are we really in this wisdom? Are we really working out in compassion? And if not, how do the Buddhists react if people don't do this? There are some countries where the whole political problems which we have today, particularly since the 11th of, September 2001, I could just see at that moment how the whole interest of the topic in Switzerland shifted from Buddhism towards Islam. And I'm working quite a lot in the inter-religious dialogue, and it's always the problem of Islam. I just had another conference a couple of days ago. But it's not Islam. It's human mind, which is the problem. We should not be tempted, and in some country, even monks are tempted to put the Muslims against the Buddhists. That's not the problem. It's the problem of mankind. It's the problem of the mind. The mind which at a certain point is all of a sudden intolerant. And what do we Buddhist leaders do? I don't know what you do. The Buddhist leaders I know in my surrounding, they do what Buddhists very, very often do. They understand right speech as kind of, you just keep silent. So this is the interpretation of right speech. Lay back, be silent, don't make the problem worse. When I had that discussion with a Muslim priest the other week, he said, we are keeping silent because we are afraid. We don't talk what we should talk, we don't address what we should address because we are afraid that a bomb is exploding in our mosque. You know, the liberal ones say like this. What do we Buddhist leaders say? Upeksha, equanimity. It will work out by itself, and I'm sure it will work out by itself. In eons and eons, it will work out by itself. I just address us and all the people in situations like this not to be too silent when we should speak, and help our fellow monks and nuns and teachers to address the problem and say, come, let's sit together and talk, find ways of reconciliation, find ways of working together, and not just hide in our monasteries and think, come on, this is not our business. So I'm very concerned of, what do we fulfill our task? What do we do? How much suffering has to be caused till we start to react? We had the king of Cambodia here, and in later times his father, Northern Sihanouk. And I was in Cambodia, and I could see what happened there. There's so much suffering. I have been in Vietnam, and I could see what was the result, even if I'm, of a younger generation. But there is so much suffering. But how did it come that this suffering could happen? One thing is, too many people were for too long time too silent. So I hope we do a little bit better and we sit together and address the problems and find ways together and use the wisdom of Buddha's teaching practically, and come from a place of silence, from meditation or silence, but then be active, address the problems. And I'm sure Buddhism has to give the world something. I wouldn't call Buddhism the only religion who could solve life's problems of today. I think every religion who is truthful and living what has been taught could give a big contribution. But still, I'm a Buddhist. And I love the quote of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who said, every religion is fine if we live up to the religion, but to me, Buddhism is the best. So I could sign that. I think it's a very intelligent, it's great, there is great insight. I love Buddhism, but I don't have to be a Buddhist. We have to live as a Buddhist, not to be a Buddhist. We have to act like Buddhists and not to be on a title of Buddhist. So if we do that really, we do not have to make new divisions between the religion, between man and woman, between the ones with the big titles and the other ones, between even the monastics and the lay. We are all human beings, and if we can live up to that, we take each other's hand and keep walking. This is, as far as I understand, Buddhism.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Your Most Venerable.